What's that? Oh, you want more spreadsheet videos with me sitting and staring at a camera talking to a computer? Glad to provide. So news just came out. Ice River is set to release two new Kaspa miners here very soon. The KS5M and the KSO Ultra. So new Kaspa miners. Kaspa is very popular. Pricing not yet released, so doing a little speculation here on my own, just kind of playing with numbers based on other profitable Kaspa miners to see what kind of range I'm going to be in, because honestly, I'm feeling a little peckish. I'm feeling like I want to get one of these alternative algorithm ASIC miners, you know, something like an Alephium miner or another Kaspa miner. I have a KSO Pro, but you know, it's overclocked. It's doing great, but it's not really bringing home the Skrilla like I was hoping for. So I'm looking for a kind of a bigger play, because it seems to me that you know, these really expensive miners, it's a lot to lay out, but Kaspa looks like it's got some room and it's got some potential. So I'm just playing around to kind of see what that price might be, because if it's over like 20 grand, I'm not buying something that's worth 20 grand, but something in the 10K range maybe. So looking around to see what I think it might be priced at when it does come out, so I can kind of pre-decide if I want to do it. So maybe this will help you, and if you're more experienced in this realm and you've got a better guess as to what they're going to come out with, what the pricing is going to be, let me know, and let me know if you just find my logic sound on this, because it is 2:14 a.m. and it's not a late night for me. This is morning. This is what time I get up. So, you know, things aren't fully greased yet. Let's take a look at the numbers here. So we just pulled this off ASIC miner value right off the top of the charts. The two Bitmain, the two juggernauts that are just kind of beating everything, and I think that's going to drive a lot of the pricing strategy from Ice River, because they're going to need to be competitive against Bitmain, because why would you buy it if it was, you know, so far removed from what Bitmain's putting out? So the Bitmain KS5 Pro and the KS5, and I don't know why the pricing's so weird on these. Maybe someone could tell me in the comments below, but a KS5 Pro is 21 terahash, 3100 watts, 15 grand. Now that's not until August. If you buy it now, you won't get it until August. You'll make less Kaspa in the meantime. They're halving, or whatever their version of halving is. You'll get less over time. You're sitting there waiting. But the KS5, virtually the same, 20 terahash, 3000 watts. You can buy it now for 24,000. So are you going to make up that extra 10K in 2 months' time? Maybe. I don't know. Point being, watts per terahash, that's where they're killing it in both places. 150 watts per terahash on those two Bitmain ASICs for Kaspa. That's way above. You can see that's way more efficient than anything Ice River's putting out. Your total gigahashes per dollar for the cost of the miner, also doing great there. Well, KS5 Pro, certainly doing a lot better in that regard, because it's doing it at $1.14. I'm just checking the math on that. It's 21,000 gigahash for 15 grand. Yeah, well, so if you found a KS5 that was priced more in line with a KS5 Pro, certainly the gigahashes per dollar would be more in line, but you know, that inflated price, I guess that's the spot price. If you want it right now, that's what you're gonna have to pay. So again, pulling these numbers straight off ASIC miner value as of today, May 25th, 2:17 a.m. Right now, it's pulling about $82 in profit per day for the KS5 Pro, 78 for the KS5. And so your ROI time, and you know I don't really believe in ROI anyway, 182 days, 300 days respectively, so certainly less than a year. Taking a look at the KS5L from Ice River, 12 terahash, so certainly a lot slower, about half as much power, about the same amount of total power cost, hashing power versus power cost. So your watts per terahash shooting up. So you're having to spend 283 watts per terahash, so on and so forth. You can read the table. So what I've done is I've taken these two new miners, the KS5M and the KSO Ultra, and compared them to their most comparable mate in the current offering of miners, that being the KS5L and the KSO Pro. So taking a look at those, the KS5M is advertised at 15 terahash, 3,400 watts, and you'll see a trend here. It's obviously, once you run the numbers on a lot of these things, it's very clear. There's an exact 25% increase across the board. All right, so taking a look at the KS5M, comparing it to the KS5L, which is currently available, it's 15 terahash versus 12, so that's 25% increase in total hash rate. It's 3,400 watts, same amount of power, so your watts per terahash is going to be lower, it's more efficient, but still not coming close to the Bitmain offering. And taking that 25%, sort of backing out the power cost, which is fixed because the total power used is the same, that as of right now would be making you 55.32 per day. KSO Ultra, same song and dance, it's 400 gigahash, so 0.4 terahash, using 100 watts, so it's twice as efficient as the KSO Pro. Your total watts per terahash, 250, that would give you a total profit per day of $1.47. Again, these profit numbers are based on my electricity rate, which I put in at 8 cents. It's a little bit less than that, but I understand most people are at like 10, 11, 12, something around there. So you'll have to play with these numbers if you're really interested in doing this as well. So based on the KS5L, if we're pricing it out based on just the terahash, it's going to come in at 16,250. If we're basing it on watts per terahash, the efficiency, same thing. If we're going to price it based on gigahashes per dollar, then backing it up through into that math, 13,008. Same on profit per day, 16,250. You see the trend. It's just 25% across the board. So if we're doing everything around there, it's just going to be 25% more. But if we're basing it on Bitmain's numbers, then if they're trying to achieve the same pricing structure based on, say, the gigahashes per dollar, then it would price at 10,714. Or if they're trying to back it up based on ROI time, like, okay, people are ROIing in 182 days on the Bitmain device, let's back structure it in to make ours ROI in the same amount of time so it's more attractive, then they'd price it again around that $10,000 mark. So, that it's going to be somewhere in that range, but you also have to consider, again, why would someone take the chance, roll the dice on Ice River versus going with Bitmain, which I consider to be a more reputable none of them are reputable, but a more reputable company, been around a little longer. But Ice River kind of known for their Kaspa miners, it seems, at this point. So I'm thinking it's definitely going to be in that range between 10K and 16K, for the opening batch. Once they're all sold out, it won't matter, and then resellers will come in, and then we charge at 20K for these things. If we're doing the same thing with the KSO Ultra, basing it on the KSO Pro, same thing, backing it up versus ROI is probably going to be $1,000. If we're basing it on profit per day, about $1,000. If we're basing it on efficiency, about $900. So comfortably in that range, but again, why, if you're going to base it one for one based on those and just multiplying it by 2, what's the real incentive to buy an Ultra versus a Pro? So there's going to be a percentage off. I just don't know what that number is, and that's up to their brain trust over there to figure out, what the consumer is willing to pay. And again, they're going to sell out regardless, but, I'd probably expect at least a 10 or 20% discount off that premium if we're just doing a one-for-one multiplication based on the most comparable models. Plus, they've got to compete with Bitmain or anyone else who comes out with a Kaspa miner. So certainly interesting to look at. I'm thinking personally, and I don't know about you, I'd love to know what you're going to do in the comments below, because everyone's talking about KRC20 token and the next Ethereum, things like that. So there's some potential for Kaspa, I suppose, versus a lithium. I don't even, maybe the profits are good on lithium now, but does it have much room to grow? Don't know. Kaspa, it seems to me at this point, maybe it has a little bit better of a shot for price appreciation, but with these kind of numbers, spending like 10, 15 grand on a miner, probably want to sell out a little bit of that day to start clawing back towards paying off the device. So love to know what you're doing in the comments below. Love to know what your strategy is in the comments below. And if you've got a better way of figuring out, of getting in the brains of these people on how they're pricing their devices, I'd certainly love to know what that is too. If you like more content like this, just kind of slap together stuff with the spreadsheet and some balding guy talking to a camera for approximately 8 to 12 minutes, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm TheTechnicals. See you next time.